Hey friend, I want to start with something that I think might take a little bit of pressure off of you today. Are you ready? You do not have to be a perfectly regulated mom for your kids to learn how to manage stress. You actually just have to be a mom who manages stress out loud. There's a difference, and really it's a pretty big one. Today we're going to be talking about what your kids are already picking up from you, why summer is actually one of the best seasons to lean into this, and then one small thing you can do starting today that's going to cost nothing and might be the most impactful thing that you do for your kids' nervous system all year long. Let's get started. Welcome to Chronic Health Solutions. If you're more than just a tired mom, I'm talking trying to make it through the day without crashing by noon, you're not alone. I'm Ashley, a wife, mom, and certified health coach. I have been where you are, battling chronic health symptoms and chronic illness, things like brain fog, joint pain, and fatigue that made me wonder if I'd ever feel like myself again. After uncovering root causes like stress, poor sleep, and hormone imbalance, I found simple health routines to begin to feel better, one simple habit at a time. Keeping up with your kids is not impossible. Pop in your earbuds and take a break from the chaos. It's you time. Before we get into the episode, if you are navigating your own chronic symptoms while trying to be the regulated, steady parent that your neurodivergent kid needs, that combination is its own level of hard. And it feels like the instructions for that are non-existent. The fear that your body is the thing standing between your kid and the support that they need. I've heard that, I've felt that before, and that is exactly why I keep spots open for my one-on-one coaching. So we can figure out exactly what your body needs and then build a healthy foundation of really these basic habits that give you something real to work from. If you want to learn more, head to ashleybraden.com/coaching, or you can find the link down in the show notes too. Okay, a while back, I had one of those mornings. The kids were dysregulated. The day had already gone sideways. It wasn't even noon, and I was sitting in the kitchen just trying to hold everything together. I wasn't yelling, I wasn't falling apart, but I was very tense. That kind of tense where I could just feel that my jaw was tight and my shoulders were up towards my ears, and just moving through the motions trying to get through the morning. At some point, I had one of my kids look at me and say, "Mom, are you mad?" And I was not mad. I was just stressed. But I hadn't said anything about it out loud. I thought I was hiding it. I was trying to regulate myself. And here's what hit me. My kids felt that anyway. Not because I was performing it, but because kids, especially kids who are neurodivergent, are reading the room constantly. Their nervous systems are already tuned to what's going on around them. My regulated or dysregulated state wasn't private information. I wasn't keeping it from them. It was something that they were already picking up on. So what changed for me was this. Instead of trying to hide my stress and then perform or act like I'm calm whenever I'm not, I've just started narrating it. Now, I'm not saying I'm oversharing. I'm not dramatizing, not saying anything to put anything on my kids that's not theirs to manage. I'm just saying the thing out loud. Mom is feeling a little overwhelmed right now, so I'm going to take a couple of slow, deep breaths and then just doing it. And that is the whole shift that I want to talk about today. And I want to tell you, it has changed so much for us in our home. Okay, so here is what I want you to understand about this. The nervous system learning that happens for your kids, it really is mostly caught. It's not taught. So we often think we want to sit down and explain to our kids what deep breathing is. You can make this feelings chart. And there's nothing wrong with those things. You can do all of the things, look at like the therapist, the parenting books, they all tell you all these things to do. And those things have real value. But the most powerful thing that I have found to do for my kids' nervous system is that they learn by watching what I do for mine consistently over time. So I've talked about this many times on the podcast, but the concept of co-regulation, which again, if you have listened to this podcast, you've heard me mention it. Also, if you spent really any time in neurodivergent parenting world, I'm sure you've heard it as well. It's this idea that kids regulate their nervous system by borrowing the calm of the adult next to them. So their brain looks to your nervous system as kind of a reference point. Are we safe? Is everything okay? And then it gets the answer, not from the words that you say, but from your body, from your tone, from your pace, from your presence, how you're showing up. Now, I do find, especially for my kids who are neurodivergent, this is especially true. Their nervous systems are often more sensitive. than a child that is neurotypical. They need that external regulation support from the adult around them. Really more, not less. Sometimes we think, oh, well, but the child's in their own world. And so they're not even really picking up on what's going on around them. And that might not necessarily be true. It might be that they really need that additional external support more than what you think. And the person that they're borrowing that support from, that regulation from, is more often than not going to be you. Now, here's what I don't want this to become. Another way for you to feel like you're failing if you have a hard moment. Because this doesn't require for you to be calm all the time. What it requires is actually something a little bit more realistic, which is just being a mom who is honest about the fact that you are not feeling calm or you are struggling, but you use the tools that you have to regulate your stress visibly. You use it out loud. So there are two things that you can do and how you can practice this starting today. The first is that you are going to narrate your regulation. So when you're feeling really overwhelmed and stressed and you stop to take a couple of deep breaths because you know you need it, just say it. Say, hey guys, hold on just a second. I need a minute because I am feeling a little bit stressed out, or I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, or however you know your child would describe that feeling. I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths because I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. So another thing, when you step outside, because maybe the noise level just got too high and you are being overstimulated, you could say, hey guys, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the sound in here. I'm going to step outside for just a couple of minutes to reset. When you put your phone down because you're getting overstimulated by the phone, say it. It doesn't have to be a big announcement. It doesn't have to be like this huge thing. It's just a loud, out loud, matter of fact thing where you're just narrating what's going on for you. Now, what this does for your kids is it gives them the words to explain how they're feeling when that happens for them. Also, it gives them that permission to speak about what's going on. They can realize, hey, I can actually say whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed or when the sound is too much for me. And because I heard mom do that. And also I noticed when mom does it that she does something to help. So she takes some deep breaths, or she goes outside, or she steps away from the thing that was bothering her for just a couple of minutes. They need to see us regulate. They need to see that when we are feeling stressed and overwhelmed, we do something about it in a healthy manner. And that's when they learn, okay, when I feel that way, here are some things that I can do. And it's just so much simple. I've said this before. I started doing this with my kids. Oh goodness, it's been a couple of years ago that I started doing this with my kids. And one of the big things that I do with them is deep breaths, because it's a very simple concept. It's easy. You don't have to go anywhere to do it. And so it was so fun for me, and really, I would say rewarding, to have my kids who sometimes struggle with regulation to realize that they were feeling overwhelmed or feeling upset or whatever the feeling is. And then themselves, not me reminding them, but them saying, oh, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths. Or sometimes they wouldn't even say it out loud. I could tell that they were overwhelmed or they were frustrated or whatever the feeling, and they would just start taking deep breaths. It's just so rewarding personally, and that's why I wanted to share this episode, because whenever you realize I can learn healthy tools to manage my own stress, which helps me to be regulated, which then helps them to be regulated. But not only that, I can also teach them these tools, not by having to make this some big, complicated, confusing thing, but just by showing them the tools I use for myself out loud, just by being really vocal about how I manage my own stress. And then to see consistently over time of having done that, how they then start to do that themselves just habitually. It's just a very exciting thing. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about is including them when it makes sense. So again, I'm not talking about forcing it. There's nothing that I find backfires faster than like this mandatory calm down time with an already dysregulated kid. That's just not what they need in the moment. There are moments though that are just naturally open. Asking if they want to come outside with you when you step outside if you are feeling overwhelmed, doing a couple of stretches before dinner, and just leaving the time for them to join in if they want. My kids, I do a lot of stretching, and my kids love to stretch with me. And so I find that just doing that in front of them And if they get curious and they sit down and they ask me what I'm doing and I show them how to do it, that has been a great way for them to also then, again, it's another tool, another resource for them to be able to regulate their bodies, to really support their bodies in the healthiest way possible. Another thing is just putting on quiet music when you're unwinding. Again, you don't have to say anything about it. You just do it, and they start to realize, when mom plays that music, my body feels really calm, or my body feels good. Now, again, they might not have the words for it, but they know, they can start to pick up on the fact that all of these things help my body to feel calm, or I feel good in my body when mom does these things, or whenever I do these things that I saw mom do. And the other thing I want to talk about, and why I wanted to talk about this today, is because I think that summer is actually a really good time to practice this. I know sometimes it doesn't feel that way when you've all been home all day and the noise level hasn't dropped really since you got out of school. Everyone got out of school. But the fact that they're constantly with you means that the modeling that you can show them is constant as well. You also have a lot of opportunities to show them, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed or stressed. This is what I'm going to do. And every time that you reach for that tool, that stress relief tool, instead of just pushing through, they're watching and they're learning, which again, the goal is that eventually they start reaching for those tools as well. Okay, here's what I want to leave you with today. You do not have to add a stress management lesson or like this big, huge thing during your summer. You just have to stop hiding what you are already doing to manage your own stress. So the next time you use some kind of stress management tool, if it's a deep breath, if it's like a 3-second pause before you respond, even just saying, hey, I need just a minute to think this through, or I need a minute where it's quiet. Just say it out loud. That is the small win. That's what we want you to focus on, is teaching your kids these as you're also doing this for yourself. Okay, so just to kind of recap what we covered today. We know that your kids' nervous systems are already reading yours constantly without you having to do anything at all. The question isn't really whether you're influencing how they handle stress. You are. There's no doubt about that. The question is, what are they learning from watching you? The two things that you can start doing right now are to narrate your own regulation tools when you use them, and then also include them in the tool when the moment is natural. Again, this is not some kind of a lesson. This is not some kind of forced thing. You're just doing it out loud and including them in those stress management tools when it makes sense. And the reason this works especially well in the summer is that they are right there with you. That proximity makes summer hard, but it also makes this kind of learning really possible because you are with them right in the middle of things with them, and you have that capacity and that ability to teach them. Okay, so your one small thing to focus on this week would be the next time you use any kind of stress tool, a deep breath, a walk, stepping outside, putting on calming music, anything at all, say it out loud where your kids can hear. That's it. Just try that one time, see what happens. And then obviously you want to continue focusing on that because kids are going to learn things over time with repetition. And if you want to talk through how to build more of this into your day in a way that actually works for your specific kid, your specific situation, that's exactly what my one-on-one coaching sessions are for. You can find more information at ashleybraden.com/coaching. And I will also have the link down in the show notes below. All right, friend, that is all for this episode, and I'll see you back next time. Hey, friend, I hope you found today's episode helpful. If you did, would you take a minute to share it with another mom who's struggling with chronic symptoms? And leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It means the world to me to know this podcast is making a difference for you. All right, it's time for me to go tackle those snack requests, and remember that a short walk, even if the kids turn it into a race, still counts as self-care. Keep chasing those little wins. Even when it feels messy, you're making progress. The information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine. I'm not a doctor, and this podcast is not intended to treat or diagnose any condition. You're the expert on your body. Listen to it and reach out to a trusted provider for support.